I had an appointment the following week. In that appointment, the doctor tried to do a biopsy, and in the office it didn't work. So he wanted to do more blood work and schedule a surgery, because if there's no way to do a biopsy to tell if the tumor or the mass was a tumor or was benign or what it was, then I had to do a surgery to remove it and get a biopsy done to see if it's a benign situation or if it's cancerous. At that point, we didn't know. He wanted to possibly do a full hysterectomy in the first surgery that I had. But I'm 38, no children. I didn't want to just, just take it all out, just get rid of it. No. Followed up with me on getting CAT scans done, x-rays done, and the fluids drained from my stomach, so we can also do tests on that. We were all praying, myself, my family, friends, even the doctors, that this was going to be a benign situation where the tumor was non-cancerous, the fluid had no cancer in it, and that's what we were going forward with. So by June 30th, I was scheduled for my first surgery. Between that time, a bunch of questions about how I feel, heart pain, growing hair, as you can see, everywhere on my face, everything. And then she was concerned and said she might not clear me for surgery, which is kind of concerning to me. So now I have to do more blood work to see if my thyroid is overactive, and do an ultrasound on my neck. I'm back here on Monday at 1 to go over everything. So surgery is not 100% right now, which just gotta breathe through it. COVID tests, because there's a bunch of tests done before the first surgery. Did that surgery and removed my left ovary. From there, they found that it was cancerous. And the type of cancer that I had in my ovary. Let me look at this again. Carcinosarcoma. So it's a carcinosarcoma in my ovary, which carcinosarcoma is cancer that's in the tissue, and they just found it in the tumor on the ovary. They didn't find any in the fallopian tube, which they removed the left fallopian tube as well. So that was my first surgery. They removed that, and they found some also on my rectum and my bladder, and they said they removed everything from there. And the doctor immediately, he has been so great with his response and his care for me during this time. He was calling me every day, multiple times a day, checking in on how I was doing, explaining things, asking me to make decisions, go to appointments. This is why at that time there was no way I could have done any videos or content. He wanted to know if I wanted to do some egg retrieval or look into anything like that, because I would have to do a full hysterectomy with what came back in the pathology of this high-grade ovarian cancer. So the plan was, from the first surgery, hear more about egg retrieval. I was surprised after we went through a consultation with an egg retrieval doctor that he was on board for us to try to retrieve some eggs to save, just in case down the line we do want to try to have kids. So immediately, once the pathology came back, we had that phone call about the fact that this is high-grade carcinosarcoma on my left ovary, and that the fluids didn't have the cancer in it, but the way the doctor put it is, just because you're fishing in the sea and you don't catch a fish, that doesn't mean there's no fish in the water. Meaning, just because they did a test on parts of the fluid doesn't mean that and they didn't find any cancer, doesn't mean that there's no cancer to be found at all there. So his recommendation was to do the hysterectomy right away, but if we wanted to try to have kids, we would have to do egg retrieval right away also. And egg retrieval would take like 2 to 3 weeks, and that would be kind of pushing it, because we should do the surgery right away. But we can wait and do the egg retrieval, because it should be fine with the surgery that was just done and the fluids being drained. The next day, so Friday, got the news. Saturday, I was at the egg retrieval office getting blood work and another ultrasound to make sure that my right ovary would be able to produce the amount of eggs needed to retrieve, and save those eggs. Well, did that on Saturday. On Sunday, my oncologist calls me and tells me that they found fluids in my right ovary, and that's not a good sign, and we shouldn't wait to do egg retrieval. We should just go ahead and do the surgery. And after going back and forth with my husband for hours and hours and hours, he was always fighting for saving my life and not trying to bring a life into this world if it's gonna take away my life. So we decided, okay, we'll set up the surgery right away. And the surgery was set up for 5 days later. So I was planning to have a full hysterectomy at that point. So in less than a month, I had to have 2 surgeries. One, pull out my left ovary, The second, to pull out every remaining reproductive organ that I have. So there is no chance of me biologically having my own child. So I prepped and planned for that and did the surgery